smartphone experience was this Samsung Galaxy Core 2 Duo all the way back from 2014, and this back in the day was marketed as a mid-ranger for the price, and this actually gave some really good performance for the price you pay for it. Before all the Chinese smartphone brands flocked over Indian smartphone brands and took over the Indian smartphone market, these kind of phones were really popular back in the day. So in this video, I am going to talk about this guy, and let's also compare this with a modern Samsung mid-ranger, shall we? So without any delay, let's get started. Okay, so this Core 2 Duo had a 1.2 GHz 4-core processor, which was based on the dated 28 nanometer process tech, coupled with a 756 MB of RAM and 4 GB of onboard storage. And the phone's display was just 720p, and also this didn't have an IPS screen back then. It was just a TN panel whose viewing angles were really bad. It used to black off completely when I turned the phone to certain degree. So that is there. The cameras were decent back then. It's just a 5 megapixel single camera in the back and a very poor quality front camera. I don't even know what the resolution of the front camera is, but they were decent when you see the shots in 2014, but now the shots are not really that good because there's no computational processing here. It's just the photo coming out of the actual camera. But nowadays phones do a lot of internal processing after you shoot a picture. So talking about the battery, it was just a 2000 milliampere removable battery, and back then the processing needs were not much, so the battery used to last easily a day or two. And also this phone ran on Android 4.4.2 KitKat. That is really old. No fancy glass backs, nor any aluminum back panels, no curved displays, and not even a 120Hz refresh rate screen because people are obsessed about it now. And I bet this is not even a 60Hz refresh rate screen here. And this is only a 720p TN panel whose viewing angles are not great, I would say, but back then no one used to really care much. The whole body of the phone is made out of plastic, even the screen is made out of plastic or glass. I think this was a norm back then. Even this chrome finish which you see here is plastic. And yeah, a headphone jack. Yeah, I know, they are kind of extinct now. Nowadays people complain about small things on their phone, but just remember back then we used to rock these and flex about having a smartphone. I mean, just to give you perspective. Had a physical home button, and the amount of RAM in this used to keep almost 6 to 7 apps open in the background, and the chipset was decent enough. I remember playing Asphalt on this phone back then, and the 5 megapixel camera used to shoot some decent pictures, and the teeny tiny selfie camera wasn't that great, of course. And yeah, the photos were decent enough because back then we used to not care much about the details and quality. It was all about the photo we needed. And yeah, to be honest, the camera hardware on this phone was good enough. I mean, judging by the photo standard of smartphones back in 2014, I think this camera was keeping up well. And judging by the fact that this camera lacked that image processing feature which modern phones have now, which even makes your photos look good with a crappy camera hardware. The software, Android 4.4 KitKat, and upon that Samsung's most hated user interface, TouchWiz Home. I mean, at first, yeah, the software didn't feel laggy or janky there because the hardware was good enough and holding well, but you really notice the bad optimization of the software as the hardware degrades over time. And now this phone doesn't really work, you know, that well, but it still works well, but it doesn't work that well. You get my point. This phone used to be my daily driver for almost 3 whole years, and it used to do all my work properly, all my important work. And back then I was a big game freak, and I got to say that this phone used to play most of the games on the Google Play Store really well. Now fast forward to 2020, we have super elegant looking, super fast 5 nanometer chipsets, with great graphical advancements. And yeah, it doesn't make sense to stick around this phone in 2020, but folks, this still works. And compare it side by side to my newer 1-year-old Galaxy A50 right here, and the differences are huge. The home button is missing, there's a glass screen with AMOLED tech inside, and the bezels are almost non-existent. Got 3 cameras, not just one, and the processor has 8 cores, and the processor is based on a 7nm process. Tech, a lot more sensors. I mean, this only had like 2 sensors in it, and this almost has 10 to 12 sensors in it. And the software is high quality, good optimizations, regular updates, and also you kind of get all those features which you used to download from the Play Store externally on Android for KitKat, but Android 10 has all those features built into the operating system. So that's a really great advancement in these 6 years. Now I know as tech improved, we got all this real quick in the newer versions of the smartphones, but just sit back and think once. 6 years ago, this was all we had in the smartphone world, but just see how fast we have evolved into this modern smartphones nowadays. We are at a point where even smartphones are getting boring nowadays, and we are looking for alternate design languages like foldables and transparent, I guess. So how do you feel about this ancient smartphone here and all the modern smartphones which we are using? You can just comment them in the comment section below. And if you like the whole video, do leave a like on the video, and if you are liking my overall content on the channel, do consider subscribing to my channel. And I do have an Instagram page, I'll leave the links in the description below. And as always, this is Pawan signing out.